Julie here with Sirius Dallas Moon, and the moon is conjoining Lilith. Venus is 8 degrees Pisces. Venus is at 8 degrees Taurus, and Mars is applying to close a sextile with Uranus. Uranus ingressed to the 29 degrees of Taurus. Now, I'm going to address the topic from a slightly different point of view, albeit being, how should I say that, um, average looking girl, meaning I did not do any particular surgeries. I don't have, like, the people who like my looks, people who don't. I'll always be with those who like my looks, of the people who are um, happy and um, good for me. Then, but I'm not a supermodel. I'm not an exceptional of any um, standard, and yet I have been in my life running into a lot of offers, let's say, from quite wealthy people. Now, I'm going to detail to you why I did not date these people, or even if I did at times, why, what it, how should I say that? What do I require, or what, and which is why I did not date these people, why I did not agree to any such offers, not as a lover, not as a partner. And this is going to, I mean, a lot of people after the Epstein list exposure are going to say, well, fortunate you. Like, you dodged something. Um, but I'm going to address it from a different point of view. When we talk about wealth, when we talk about success, when we talk about intergenerational wealth, when we talk about safety and security, um, and this is going to apply to any people, single or not, we're talking about body, heart, mind, and soul aligned. Joy of living, or joie de vivre. Of course, it's Venus hour. Um, we're talking about being healthy, wealthy, and loving together. We're talking about both of us having um, other people outside the relation that are in the same mindset. Um, we're talking about an economy and world policies, economically, politically, in terms of resources, that support that on an erotic, non-erotic level. So, for me, if I'm being approached or juxtaposed to a person much more important to me than um, whether he buys me things or offers vacations that I don't necessarily have the ability to get in and out of, um, which is why I didn't go for it. But much more important to me, how should I say that? When I worked at the very short time that I did apprenticeship in the Israeli Palestinian Chamber of Commerce, I had a conversation with two men. One of them was talking about houses that he have and so on and so forth, and people around were kind of looking, trying to see like whether I benefit, he benefit. And now, when I talk when I talk business, I'm very lighthearted. So people probably did not get the vibe correctly. And another conversation that was absolutely not romantic, and it was with an economist who basically took the bus together, public bus, and he talks about the fact that it's possible there is enough for each and every individual to be prospering. I felt way more, and I'm not even talking about anything erotic. I felt way more interested in the conversation with that economist than with the other person that was flaunting his estates. Because one person uses his skill and profession and knowledge to advocate for wealth redistribution that is good for everyone, and that aligns better with any type of connection. And one person is flaunting their estates, and um, those were Israeli business people. So for people that try to make assumptions, no. um, and it's not about shame or blame. It's simply about what I am looking at when I am looking at big wealth. And this is also on an esoteric level. Another case was somebody that wanted to fund, he wanted to decide for me that I will study mathematics. We met at filmmaking um, studies, and um, basically always wanted to isolate me from people. So that's not something I go by. He was willing to fund for a degree, and and here is the thing: I have um, the ruler of Jupiter in the ninth house, which means the studies for me is very important, and the ruler of my second house of values is also there. So somebody that would want to promote, let's say, my studies or my dreams and goals, or even offer a different point of view, is actually tapping into the first of all, tapping into the ninth house. And investing in my ninth house is investing in the growth of a relation. However, um, being controlling, is something that stifles the intellect. Also, the wealth and prosperity and joy of living, but also the intellect. The juxtaposition of that and the willingness to fund studies of mathematics. Um, yeah. um, so this was definitely a pattern, and this is also stifling eroticism, which could lead to, if I was kind of like a people pleasing person, and would go to bed with a person that stifles my eroticism, eventually either I would cheat with a man who doesn't, or he would cheat, um, or both of us would cheat, and then. But this is something that was clearly evident. Um, when I got to my Pluto square, my Neptune square, and Uranus crossing the Sun, um, those juxtapositions began to be international, let's say. And um, this is where there was even a billionaire that asked, what would one do with so and so and so money? And I said, keep it, drop the cult. Meaning the Epstein files. They were on Epstein files, so I'm not going to say no names. Um, and those were those were already the places where I began to be exposed to um, whether the upbringings in the elite or things that matter. And I'm looking at upbringing because these people are very excited to have children into their circles. Okay, because children is legacy, but children is also tax evasion. Um, and when I'm looking at things, I pay very close attention to upbringing, circles, and as much as I can understand intricacies, growing children to a place where there are things that happen, such as in the Epstein networks. And here is where people have to rub shoulders with those people. Um, and so I look at it from a place where actually prosperity goes hand in hand with zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning. And when I take a look at lineage or the circles, or how would my life look like, how would my children's life look like, um, then there are many esoteric practices to change the way we do business. The way we do business needs to support happy, thriving, loving relations. I don't think that, um, you know, energy siphoning, enslaving, or predating on the wealth of the world basically creates it's persecution timeline. So I wouldn't want to participate in persecution timelines, and I wouldn't want it for my family either. And this is where I look at policy changes, esoteric practice changes, completely transforming the way we do business as way more important than um, the brand of champagne or um, or whether our yacht is big enough for the orcas to not um, predate on us. Um, and so, of course, it's important to look also at, am I safe being together with, and are we safe saying no to one another? including no further relationship. It's more than prenuptials, it's culture. Um, and this gnosis is relevant not just to people who have the planet of the elite crossing the ruler of relationships and housing, um, Aries, but also to anyone, because whether you're um, juxtaposed to or dating a wealthy person or a person that's going to become wealthy, because I knew people that were just friends, everybody around, women, men, they would always up level. And I'm not saying that you know, it's kind of like I met people at the juncture where they would up level. And that's just the way I tend to meet people. Um, and sometimes they would up level after what seems like a downfall or a revolution, because they would need to sort out. Every time we up level, we need to sort out the things that were keeping us from up leveling. For example, right now, we're sorting out the Epstein list that were keeping a lot of people from up leveling. And it pertains to access to affordable housing, whether in the private or public sector. People can build a house out of mud and do lime wash, and for that to sustain better than some of the best buildings. Also, one thing I learned, a tip I learned, is that after the seventh floor, the search and rescue cannot reach when there is fire. So, building high into the sky might simply be, um, well, profoundly beautiful. Um, um, yeah, Burj Khalifa, they accept the Friday in different minutes in the up floor and in the floor down. It's a different time zone. And I would be lying to you if I said that these type of perceptions are not exciting, but it's also the practicality. Um, when I was a young girl, I really wanted a house like a log cabin, and my mom would say, "Well, you're gonna have to treat the mold." So I don't know if lime wash works in that case, um, but I actually think it's more ecosystemic to build around the trees or the tree trunks themselves. Um, or recycling material upon construction, not radioactive material, and not radioactive land. Um, but I really think that when we talk about relations, much more important is, do they make the world accommodate for joy of living? There is the shadow work of um, understanding that wealth and love are not negating one another. Neither do wealth and morals. Economic bubbles pop extensively. And as I said in a previous video, I've been receiving a lot that we are before a full list of, or in the full list, and maybe people in the full list of um, I don't know what, why, or when. I think Mars going through Neptune and Saturn would probably be the date, but Uranus will also ingress to Gemini with Sedna. Um, many things can happen. Um, and whether it's an elite culture or any culture, the treason-based, ritual abuse-based esoterics and cultures that are set on extortion cults is not an environment to grow happy, thriving children. Religious scriptures that say, big shout out to China Conde, um, scriptures that say that birthing is a punishment, and that's not something to live by, regardless of the gender. And esoterics that support those scriptures do not support life. If people feel that this that this is offensive to their religious feelings, they should ask themselves, where were they at the Me Too? Where were they at the Epstein list? Because once a person has been violated, whether as a child or not, the sacred was violated. But even that which was violated is sacred. The profane is the violator. It affects our arts, our cultures, the imagery that we have when when we are in discourse. And negates joy of living. Oh, finally, what the ascendant is with Pluto. Moon is conjoining Black Moon Lilith on my Uranus. This is my Lilith square, almost Lilith square Lilith. If we're going to have this conjunction at the hour of the moon, there may be a Lilith talisman.